Hello and welcome to another of the Head Honcho interview series. My name's Gavin Houchel. I'm delighted today to be joined by Emma Jane Newton, the Finance Director of Telstra Retail. Now, EJ spent her early career with Credit Suisse and as Managing Director was responsible for mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, capital and debt raising for a number of telecom, media and technology providers, and also with the education sector. And EJ, you spent a number of years working around the globe, I think starting in Melbourne, through to then London and New York, and then to Sydney, and joined Telstra a couple of years ago by the sounds.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, I'm curious, EJ, your career transition from investment banking into the corporate world, was there a catalyst that made you sort of make that move? And perhaps you can share your journey in the last couple of years with us.
Yeah, sure. So prior to joining Telstra, as you said, I'd spent my whole career at one company, at Credit Suisse. So whilst I'd travelled around the world and I'd done lots of different types of roles at Credit Suisse, from M&A to leverage finance to financial sponsor coverage, I had still been with the one firm, and I looked forward and thought, well, do I want to spend the rest of my career in investment banking? And I loved Credit Suisse, or did I want to continue to grow and expand my career? And I decided on the latter. I decided it was time to continue to grow my skills, and I reflected on the areas that I felt like I needed to continue to grow, and there were probably three main areas that I thought were really important for me to continue to build my skills in. So one was in terms of leadership. So whilst I love investment banks, leadership's probably not something that gets developed strongly within investment bankers. So I wanted to join an organisation that really invested in leadership. Asia was another big area that was interesting for me. Whilst I'd worked in New York and London, I hadn't worked in Asia. So Telstra had a big presence and focus on Asia. And then the third one was technology. I mean, as we know, technology is proliferating everywhere, and Telstra has an ambition to be a world-class technology company, and there is a huge amount of technology in telecommunications. So those three reasons were probably the reasons for why Telstra and why moving into a corporate. So that initial transition into being head of corporate development was quite an easy transition, if you like, because it was sort of going from being an external advisor to an internal advisor. My second move that I made within Telstra, and I've been there for 2 years now, was about 8 months ago into this finance director role. That one was a bit more of a challenge. That one was stretching. That one's been stretching me a bit more. So. That's been good.
We'll be keen to explore that. And perhaps you can tell us a little bit about Telstra Retail and with respect to how your current role fits in and learnings that you've had thus far.
Yeah, so retail, we've actually just rebranded ourselves Consumer and Small Business. So we are the segment of Telstra that looks after our consumer and small business customers, and that's selling them products from mobiles to fixed to data and IP and our network applications and services products. And it's really the engine of Telstra. So I went from a role where I was looking at how we could grow outside of our core to now my role is very much about how do we grow the core part of Telstra, about 16 billion of our 25 billion of revenue. So I've also got a bigger team in my current role. I've got about 100 people in my team, and helping to lead the overall transformation of Telstra, both within the finance division that I sit in, but also the organisation. NBN's bringing lots of new challenges. Absolutely. And so one of my roles as finance director is making sure that we continue to hit the productivity targets that we need to hit as an organisation.
Sure, okay. Now, you alluded to obviously the transition from advisor to the internal side. So you've obviously been a deal maker, and now you're in this deal shaping role as a custodian of a $16 billion revenue. So no small business there. Yeah. What are some of the things that you found easy transitioning and with your core skill set, and then what are things that you really had to personally work on, particularly in this transitional phase, as you said?
Yeah, so I think that commercial acumen and the understanding of what drives the value of Telstra has been an easy transition because I've spent a lot of time analysing the telco sector. And that's actually quite a unique skill, and I didn't realise how unique it was. So that's been something that's been really valuable to bring across into this role. One thing in large organisations that's critical is that concise, clear, articulate business communication of what are the things that drive value, what are the commercial decisions that we need to make that are really the really critical ones. So those skills have been important. The other skills that I've brought across have been my relationship building skills. You know, as an advisor, you are you aspire to be a trusted advisor, and that means building really strong, deep relationships with your clients. And in my role, you know, I think of myself as a support function for the business, and I bring that mindset of how can I help the business, how can I think about the important commercial decisions that matter for the business, and how can I really help the business grow and thrive. So that mapping out of the key stakeholders within the organisation and working through building relationships with those stakeholders is a skill that you have to develop or you don't make it to managing director in investment banks. Those two skills I think were the easier ones to bring across. Some of the harder ones were just navigating the organisation and understanding how decisions really get made. So that's not written down anywhere. That's something you've got to understand. You've got to understand who the key influencers are within the organisation and how you can drive change within the organisation. And I think the other one would just be the leading a bigger team. So, you know, in banking, you've got relatively small groups of top performers, people that are really driven within the organisation, that work really long hours. Within a corporate environment, you have a real mix and phenomenal diversity, which I love, both age diversity, gender diversity, ethnic diversity, but also I've got a much larger team that I look after within my function, but also supporting a business that's got 6,500 people in it. So figuring out how you can drive that group of people to deliver certain outcomes, that's been a challenge and a new learning for me.
Fantastic. Well, you did, one of your quests was leadership, so
yes, I'm certainly learning.
Now, many executives I advise and support talk a little bit about some of the frustrations and challenges of being in a big corporate and feeling constrained. What are you and the leadership team within your division doing to maintain sort of the agile and nimble and innovation? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, there's quite a few things that we're doing, and Telstra is very focused on how we can develop agile ways of working, be more innovative. But if I think about it, there's some really basic things that we're doing that I think large corporates need to do to get better alignment, better clarity. And some of those really simple things are, we've introduced a scorecard across the organisation. So every single person in that overall extended leadership team group of the organisation has to develop quarterly scorecards, and you share those scorecards amongst your peers and amongst other parts of the organisation. And it's quite amazing what you think is a priority might not be a priority for someone else, that you need to deliver that particular outcome. So whilst that's not some whiz-bang new technology, it's kind of basic fundamental stuff, but it's actually helping us to move faster and to get things done more quickly and provide more clarity for our people. One of the other things I did was build a really simple scorecard around the financial metrics that mattered for our business to enable us to deliver our plan this year. And that has provided a level of clarity for the whole of the retail organisation to know what are the things we've got to hit to deliver. On the more sort of edgy, interesting side, in my old role in corporate development, we had a dragon's den that we created, and that was really fun because what it did was allowed any member of the team to come forward with an idea and sort of pitch that idea to members of the leadership team. And we had a number of examples where those ideas that got pitched actually went through and got delivered and created positive outcomes for our customers in the business. So yeah, I think there's a wide range of things that we're working on to become faster and more agile.
Lovely to hear. And just in closing, you touched on obviously relationship and stakeholder management skills back in investment banking, and now I guess harnessing those skills within a corporate. What are some of the lessons that you can share to future executives that you've, I guess, reflected on that's aided you in your career?
Yeah, look, I think that big one of thinking beyond your remit. We talk a lot at Telstra about enterprise-wide leadership and the importance of enterprise-wide leadership, and it becomes quite easy when you work in a large matrix organisation to become quite siloed in your thinking and just focus on that one area. My background in investment banking means that I'm always thinking about what would the investor think about this? Yeah. What would the board think about this? And now in my role in retail, I'm increasingly thinking about what would the customer think about this. So I think thinking beyond and outside of not just your little silo that you work in or the business unit you work in, but thinking about the overall company that you work in and what you're doing and how it impacts that. But even more broadly, in this world of disruption and technology change, we have to think about what are the other external factors, not our traditional competitors, but new competitors going to do that could come in and disrupt our business. So I think I've really brought to Telstra that broader thinking and perspective, and try to bring that to what I do every day. I will harp back on the relationship point, because it is absolutely critical, and I coach a number of my team members on this, and did the other day actually with one in particular. And once again, it's quite easy to spend the time investing on a small group of people within your immediate remit as your key stakeholders, and not spending the time to invest in other parts of the business or the organisation that can actually help bring different perspectives. And that's not just building relationships upwards or sideways, but downwards as well. I find some of the most valuable conversations are the ones that I have with members of my team at different levels that bring new and interesting perspectives on what we can do.
Absolutely, great. Well, I should let you get back to the office and turn that 16 billion into the 17 billion, but it sounds like you're having lots of fun, so thank you for your time.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
EJ.
you.
Take care.
Bye.